guys, like I'm Easter, and welcome back to another showcase video where I'm finally showcasing my Lego custom minifigures for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And 3 custom figures I have made for the showcase are Star-Lord himself, Rocket Raccoon, and the High Evolutionary, while Groot and a makeshift Mantis are stand-ins. Now, Mantis is a figure I'm gonna kind of explain when I get to Star-Lord, but so guys, I've been working on these figures since October, since at least April. Okay, because I got the parts in around I think very late March. So I went straight to work, but I had also work on Mario. But then I had exams due out. I spent a good month working on these 3 figures alone. But then exams came, then Spider-Verse, and the Flash, just constantly so many things happening in my life, and then that whole news I got back in it's about it's been more than a month now. It's been a month since I got that news, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, and these are most likely going to be my only and final Guardians of the Galaxy figures. I may want to make Gamora or Adam Warlock at some point, but these are kind of my first and last Guardians of the Galaxy figures. I'm not sure about Star-Lord, but because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was the perfect conclusion to the story of this version of the Guardians. A team that we really didn't know much about back when it was first announced, then to loving these characters after the first movie, then just growing with them, watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, seeing them appear in the Avengers movies, in the holiday special. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is coming out on digital today or tomorrow, I'm not sure about it, but it's coming out on digital, and I think Blu-ray as well, I'm not sure. But yeah, guys, yeah, and I did mention this a few times on my both Instagram and YouTube community tab posts. I love the movie. I really did love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I really did love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I will get into all of that in this video. It's talking about Star-Lord, Rocket, and the High Evolutionary, and other characters. But yeah, guys, with all that said, let's get started.
We have been running our whole lives.
Starting off with Star-Lord himself, Peter Jason Quill. Now, this was the first figure that I started on. And I think it was kind of obviously not the hardest figure I've ever done, but definitely not the easiest. So, starting off with the head. The head is just pretty much the Owen Grady head I got from a Jurassic World. That's also by the way I'm trying a new version of the lighting, specifically for these figures. So I pretty much got the head from, I basically got the entire figure, and I just took the head off that, repainted the beard and repainted the mustache. Now, Star-Lord does have a bit of a darker tone to his hair and to his facial hair and his hair in the movie, but I decided just to keep it like this. This was a custom mixed color that I mixed myself, and I make sure to paint it and got it right. So yeah, and plus it just fits better. If I were to, I would put it on a brown Superman hairpiece, but I don't have one on me right now. But yeah, painted the neck and kind of painting these red lines, and if I flip the face, you can see alternate facial expression, which is much more happier, calmer Star-Lord. But I decided just to keep this face because it just works better for Star-Lord, especially what he goes through in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So yeah, so the torso, I actually did the 3D piece for the torso during a live stream, and that was fun. Did a fun stream with TL Edits. And he was being very sus, but yeah, so I pretty much applied all the 3D pieces onto the torso. And the torso has I think the most 3D pieces I've ever applied on a Lego minifigure before, because you got got this vest thing, you got this thing here, you got the belt, you got all the things. So that was not fun. But I actually did base the design off of Lego's Star-Lord's or Guardians of the Galaxy suit torso. I heavily based off this, and I would say that I kind of mostly copied Lego's design for the torso, but I really didn't. I kind of copied the this design here, and kind of like this, but it's pretty much did my own thing. Made the logo just a little bit smaller and not as like big on the actual figure itself, which is really not accurate. Make sure, I don't know if you can see that, but I painted a bit of bronze there and painted all the detail. And the figure is, and the base color for this figure is my own custom blue color, which took me a damn good long while just to fully get. I thought I had it, but the Guardians of the Galaxy suits have such a sand, kind of like a normal blue sandish tone to them, and I really wanted to capture that, unlike what Lego did with using navy or dark blue, which was not accurate. And I was originally going to use navy blue, but I really didn't look that way. I really wanted the detail like to pop out and stick out more. So yeah, so it took me a while to get that, but it worked out. But it turned out perfectly. Painted all the detail there. I don't know what this is. I think it's kind of like a shoulder pauldron or something. I don't know, but you can see all that there, and you can see that the red stripe, I kind of like this red stripe design, is just continue onto the hip. I did originally want to have the belt on the hip piece, but I decided not to because I just wanted these designs to continue on, which will just look way cooler. So yeah, moving on to the back. The back is just like kind of like a direct copy of Lego's design. This entire figure was heavily inspired by Lego's design, and I will get to like I think the Lego figure at some point, but whatever. But yeah, you can see all that paint detail there. These parts, these gunmetal parts were originally normal gray, but after watching the movie, looking at more reference, they were kind of like a dark gunmetalish silver gray or silver tone, or metallic look. So I pretty much just paint on that there. Kind of took me a while just to paint the design on there, but that was okay. Now I do want to get the blasters out of the way first. These are just like kind of like the normal Lego Star-Lord blasters. And I was originally planning to paint some silver onto like the ends of them, but I decided not to. And I do have like the newer like Star-Lord pistols. I do have, or blasters. I do have like the newer versions. And honestly, I do think the gunmetal ones look more accurate, but these ones still work as well. You know, these blasters would work on any Star-Lord figure, but I do prefer the gunmetal looks. So yeah, so moving on to the arms. The arms were like one of the most challenging things because I had to redo them because like up to here it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't really easy. I left it at dead end because of how thick the paint kept getting, and also because I was using our blue well, but I pretty much watered down this custom blue, and it worked out perfectly. Painted all the design there, and I had to paint on this exact design onto Rocket, which we will get to soon. But yeah, painted all that design there, and it took me a while just to paint these kind of like these gauntlet things or whatever. It took me a while to paint that, and yeah, that was just not fun at all. Now moving on to the legs. The legs are never fun to do, but I pretty much like copied Lego's design, like mainly like up to like the thigh, mainly up to like the thighs. I remember just copied Lego's design, man, because you have like the most accurate, and like what I like to do is I like to find Lego designs that I'd like to kind of like copy. I kind of like get an idea of what's gonna fit on the Lego minifigures. I don't to fully figure out itself. So this is kind of a bit of cheat for me. Paint all that detail there. You can see like kind of like the red stripes do continue onto there. I did paint some knee pads, and I did paint on the black boots with a bit of metallic black highlight outlines that you can see over there. And the figure does wrap around all four sides of the minifigure's legs, and the paintwork does wrap around all four sides of the minifigure's legs. And you can kind of see that the legs are, I don't know, you can see that they're kind of starting to crack. Damn it, but yeah. Has the leg fully painted. Make sure to paint the holsters. I believe these are the holsters for Star-Lord's blasters. I don't know. Paint all that detail there. It took me a while just to paint the legs. I think I got the legs done like in 2 or 3 days or something. But yeah, and the detail does continue around all four sides of the minifigure's legs, of course. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for Star-Lord. And now, before I close out this segment, I am going to use it. I am going to kind of showcase some heads that I painted and some accessories I have painted for other Guardians members, because like, all the Guardians, besides Gamora and Groot, are wearing the exact same outfit. And ain't no way I was gonna paint the exact same outfit like 3 more times. So what I did is I pretty much painted a couple of heads for Drax and Nebula. Mantis is pretty much the same, but you will see how she looks like with this head. And I did kind of do a bit of modification to Mantis. But yeah, and I did make sure to paint up some kind of like some knives for Drax. And if you want to know what this head is like from, it's pretty much kind of like a like I think like one of like the villain's heads like from Iron Man 3 that glows in the dark. And I posted a poll up on my Instagram, and like it was, and like a lot of people were telling me not to repaint this head because it did have like the red outlines, but I was like, screw it, just paint the designs on it. And oh boy, that was just not fun at all. But I still do kind of regret it, but this works. Okay, and I did paint over the alternate facial expression, and you can guys see that you can kind of see that glow in the dark there. But yeah, I just really think that this head really did capture Drax. No muscle definition or anything. I just wanted to at least sort of have a kind of like a Drax figure. But yeah, painted knives in a gunmetal. Kind of painted the blades in a gunmetal, and you can kind of see these were originally gold. Painted kind of the side silver, but yeah, that's pretty much gonna be do it like for Drax. And now getting these knives out of the way and removing the head, we can talk about the Nebula head that I painted up and the gunmetal arm that I also did paint up. So just removing this arm and putting on her nice silver mechanical arm. You can see that there. So yeah, Nebula was kind of, I pretty much like took a female like yellow face and just repainted. Got a brand new aqua blue color for Nebula's head, and I kind of just copied Lego's design, but yeah, you can just see that all the detail there. I was originally planning to paint more detail into like the top, but you can see that there. And yeah, and you can see that, and I just kind of took a normal gray arm and just kind of painted in my own custom gunmetal color, which does work. The hand's not painted gunmetal, but whatever. At least it makes her a good looking Nebula figure. And I also forgot to mention I did paint on the necks onto both Drax and Nebula. So yeah, just getting Nebula's head off, and kind of just like removing this arm, and then applying this one. And just like putting on Mantis's head really quick, just for you to see how she looks. And the only thing I did to Mantis was just like repaint the antennas into a much more brighter flesh tone color. That's all I did for Mantis. And that, don't ignore that red head. This was originally a Captain Marvel. This was originally the head I used for Captain Marvel, my stop motions. But yeah, it's mainly for Mantis. But yeah, I really didn't do anything to the face, just kind of repainting the antennas in a flesh tone color. So, yeah, now, getting this off and just putting back Star-Lord's head. Now, I do kind of want to talk about Star-Lord's character in the movie. I think Star-Lord was as peak. I think Star-Lord's story was as peak in this movie, like, after what he had to go, after him trying to get his relationship back with Gamora, not ending up that well, and also, by the way, spoilers, and just him moving on from that, and just, I think the way his story ended in Guardians 3 was perfect, and I really do think it was, the perfect close for this character's story. I don't know, maybe we might see him in Kang Dynasty, maybe, but we will see about that. So, yeah, now let's move on to Rocket Raccoon.
We'll all fly away together. One last time. Into the forever and beautiful sky.
Rocket Raccoon, pretty much the main character of the entire movie, and the character in the movie that had the best story and best arc. And oh my god, guys, there were scenes with Rocket that made me cry. No spoilers, but there were just scenes that made me cry. There were scenes with Rocket that just made me cry in the cinema. And also, by the way, I cried this movie like 4 times while watching Guardians 3. But yeah, guys, Rocket was really in the middle. He was really in the center of the whole movie, and the movie just exploring his backstory and us as an audience learning more about Rocket Raccoon's backstory. It was really tragic, and I just loved it. I think it was one of the best parts of the whole movie. So yeah, with all that aside, talking about the figure itself, but yeah, guys, I just loved Rocket Raccoon in the movie. I think he was really the center of everything. I think with what James Gunn was doing with this character was just amazing. So yeah, with all that aside, let's talk about the figure itself. So starting off with the head, it's pretty much the same Rocket Raccoon head. Like I think it was like a Rocket Raccoon from I think a Polybag back in 2014. I was originally gonna use I was planning on using like the newer Rocket Raccoon heads that Lego has been making for Rocket now, but I did want to use this one because it did kind of have like the shoulder pauldrons, and also because it was the only Rocket head I could find on Bricklink. So yeah, on the Bricklink store I was ordering. So yeah, I pretty much like repainted the head into a brown. It was originally kind of like the head was originally kind of like a very dark brown. But I kind of just made it a little bit lighter so that you can just stick out more. Also, that was a bit of a pain in the ass for photos and stuff. But yeah, you can see that custom brown color there. And I did paint Rocket's white fur in a milky white. It was originally kind of like a normal white, but I pretty much just painted it in a milky white. And I actually had to go over this multiple times. I had to go over all the fur multiple times. And I was actually planning to paint on a bit of a texture to the fur, but that didn't happen. Paint these areas in black, and you can see that over there. Now, the original version, now I originally didn't really have a mouth painted because the mouth was molded on. But I decided why? Okay, honestly, man, it's gonna look weird if I don't paint a mouth. It's just gonna look weird, and he really didn't look like he didn't have any motion. But so I pretty much painted the mouth, and so you can see that there. And it actually does work. It actually does work pretty damn well. Makes the figure look 100 times better. So these shoulder pauldron pieces, and now this really isn't accurate to the movie because it's kind of like a flat design, but I pretty much painted the design from that side onto here. But this is actually a pretty accurate one. I pretty much painted the design from that shoulder pauldron onto here, and it works pretty well. So yeah. Now I do want to get the gun out of the way. The gun is a Alien Conquest pistol that I modified, where I pretty much kind of added a binocular piece onto the end, and I I basically cut up multiple pieces of cardstock and glued them together because Rocket's gun is kind of a very slim, a very slim gun, and kind of small in a way. So I kind of wanted to capture that. So yeah, painted those on with a very strong super glue. This visor piece, this visor was kind of just cut up and glued, and you can see that there, and the figure and the gun was painted in a normal bronze color till after I kind of gave it a black, kind of a metallic black bronze wash to it, and I did paint the inside a bit. I did paint the inside gunmetal. I was gonna paint this just a little bit, just to give kind of like that targeting, but I decided not to do that. But yeah, just anything to capture Rocket's gun. And also the gun was actually something I was actually having trouble with, so I pretty much just went with this. And yeah, yes. Now getting the gun out of the way and just talk about the rest of the figure itself. Now the one thing I wasn't looking forward to Rocket was that I had to paint on a similar design to Star Wars, because all the Guardians besides Gamora and Groot, they're wearing the exact same outfit. So that means 5 of the 7 Guardians were wearing the exact same outfit. But in Rocket, I actually did but mainly in Rocket's torso, I did kind of change the design a bit. And one of the big things was that I really didn't, this area right here wasn't a 3D piece because this was going to be kind of ruined. So, yeah. So the only 3D piece I applied to the top of the torso was the logo, and I did of course apply a few 3D pieces for the belt. As you can see that over there, all fully painted And you can see that now. Now, one thing I did with Rocket was that this is not like the same custom color that I used for Star-Lord, but in this case, it was just a normal blue color that actually helped me make this color for Star-Lord. So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. Now, this was kind of like not an easy thing to do. Not really easy, but it was kind of like, I rephrase. It was kind of easier for me to do that instead of having to like constantly water down the paint. In this case, it was way easier. And this shade of blue does kind of match the shade of blue that the Guardian suits do have. So you can see that there. You can see that the arms are fully painted. Now just moving the head really quick. I see a bit of that. The arms are pretty much kind of like the same design as Star-Lord's, except with a few design changes. Except there's been a few minor changes. Like this is a little bit smaller. This is a little like these gauntlets are a little bit bigger. So it's not an exact copy of the arms, but it's definitely not like a completely different design, which I did not like. Just painting on the same design onto pretty much painting the exact same design twice again. It was not easy, man. And I was working on the arms like right after I came back from watching the movie, and right when I got a headache. So that was not fun. So you can see that there. And now if I just remove, and also before I remove like the upper torso, you can see that the back paint detail there, which I'm going to have to remove. Like I'm actually going to separate the figure into 2 sections just to remove the tailpiece. Now this tailpiece was kind of like the old Rocket tailpiece I had like from my old Rocket figure. So I pretty much like just repaint it. Just kind of like repaint the tail in a dark brown and kind of painted these black designs, which I did not have fun with because I was like basing this tail design off of MGF Customs. So yeah, now with the tail out of the way, you can see the back. You can see the 3 pieces onto there, and you can see the back paint detail there, and you can see all that paint design onto there. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna be doing for the back. And also I did make sure to paint the hip piece, like the belt piece of the tail in that blue color, and you can see that design continuing onto there. Now the short legs. Now I would say the short legs are kind of harder than painting normal minifigure legs, because you can see that they kind of have like you can see that right there. Now I did want to use mid legs, but they really didn't have available, and I kind of wanted to get Rocket to be as short as possible, so I just used these ones. So you can see all that design there, and I did not have a fun time painting the legs for Rocket. I did not have a fun time at all, because just on how tedious it was. I did not want to paint the exact same design but smaller onto Rocket's legs like Star-Lord. But I did kind of want to keep as accurate as I possibly can. And I recently did wrap up the legs. Now the boots are kind of like a bit of a problem, because Rocket has magnetic boots in the movie, and when I looked at the reference, I was like, yeah, ain't no way I'm gonna paint that. Ain't no way. I just want to get this figure out of my life. And so what I did was I just painted the boots black, and I kind of just painted a bit of silver design there, and just have a bit of that red button there to probably deactivate the magnetization or something. But yeah, you can just see that there. Now since these legs really can't move, you really can't see the inside the minifigure's legs. So yeah, man, I think that's pretty much going to be it for Rocket. Like I said, Rocket was like the best character in the entire movie, and his story arc being completed was amazing, and I'm so happy for James Gunn for him coming back to finish off and fully tell Rocket's story onto the big screen. And I'm gonna be honest, man, no spoilers. The movie's been out, like the movie came out like a few months ago. There were scenes of Rocket's backstory that were just traumatizing and brutal to watch. And most of you have seen the movie, you might know what I mean by that. But yeah, dude, like Rocket was just like, there were scenes about Rocket's backstory that were just shocking, and it really does make you feel bad for what Rocket went through when he was being created by the High Evolutionary. So yeah, and now speaking of the High Evolutionary, let's move on to him. But yeah, man, Rocket was like the best character in the entire movie.
I will destroy the Guardians. It's time to say goodbye.
Now moving on to the final figure of this showcase, that being the main villain, the High Evolutionary. So if you don't know, if most of you don't know who the High Evolutionary is, he's a very powerful villain that wants to create and perfect. He wants to create the perfect species. And I think the way they explored his character in this movie and kind of made him a villain was just absolutely amazing. There were scenes in the movie where this guy was like a full-on, like I'm talking, full-on menace. Like this guy doesn't joke around. He has no sympathy. This guy is a villain, and I absolutely love that. Woody, I think, gave an amazing performance for High Evolutionary. And you can see on how I made this figure. So and trust me, this figure was not easy to make at all. So yeah, so I started off with the head, of course. The head was like, I think, one of like the hardest things I had to sculpt for this figure, because the High Evolutionary has like this back, like I don't know what this is, and it just shows his bald skin. And I wasn't gonna use like the stud, so what I did was I pretty much sanded it off the stud and pretty much sculpted over the headpiece, sculpted over the stud, and I pretty much sculpted all of this. And oh my god, guys, that was not easy. Just trying to keep most of this face exposed, trying to keep like this part of the face exposed, and I can just sculpt over them, sculpting this chin thing, at least sculpting this right here. But then sculpting the back was just, it was not easy, and a bit of his skin does expose, or is exposed like here, here, and here. But yeah, and you can see all that paint detail on the back of his head. And fun fact, I actually worked on this figure, and especially on this piece, while I was at school, for art class, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, and one thing you can see is that the fully painted face. Now I had to paint a proper face, and the only thing I did was I just painted over the normal minifigure eyes. That's all I did. So I had to paint on a face that would kind of resemble Woody. Was kind of a bit of a challenge, but I think I managed to get it right. Just taking inspiration from multiple different faces and putting them together. I think there were certain parts where this face was, I think there were parts where I got inspiration from a Mace Windu face, which worked pretty well, and you can see that there. And I think this is like one of my best painted faces to date. Like I think, I don't know if you can see that, but to me, I think it's one of the best painted faces I've done to date. And brown paint is not that easy to work with. It's very thick, so I had to water it down just the littlest amount, just trying to correct every single like facial feature or facial mark that this figure at the face has. So yeah, that was not fun at all. Now moving on to the torso. This upper plate here was fully sculpted, and both base colors of this figure are my own custom mixed colors, custom mixed light purple color and normal and kind of like a violet like purple. So you can see that there. This was fully sculpted. It just took like a buttload of time to dry, which was just absolutely awful. I did not like how long this sculpted piece took to dry. Not a big fan of that. And I pretty much engraved all the detail, but like since like the paint layers up, I had to paint over that, but I did kind of get all the detail right. And one thing I realized was that like this color was not accurate. I was basing off of promo pictures and lighting, but instead it's much more kind of like a darker, it's a lighter, very light, just the slightest lighter version of this. But whatever, I'm happy with it. And and the belt here is a 3D piece. Now I wasn't sure if like I wanted this like the belt to connect to the scripting or whatever, but I decided not to. But yeah, you can see all that paint detail there. The back is not sculpted, but does have a 3D piece, and I did have a bit of trouble painting on this design onto, especially this, onto like this armor plate here. And now it was originally kind of like just all black lines, but I added a bit of like that custom purple color onto the sides, which worked perfectly. Now moving on to the arms. The arms were kind of like not easy, but also simple at the same time. These shoulder pads here are sculpted. Try and make sure to get them as accurate as I possibly can, and they do kind of have like I would say kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a very angled shaped, but I couldn't really do that, but I kind of made them flat and kind of make them stick out just the slightest. So yeah, you can see all the paint detail there, and these two straps right in these two parts right here under the shoulder pad and like up and like on the bottom of the arms are 3D pieces. Now this is just a little bit higher, but whatever. I pretty much painted the detail from the gauntlets onto here, and you can see all that paint detail there. As you can see, all the armor pieces were painted in the light purple color, and like kind of like the outer and kind of like the under layer on the undersuit was painted in the normal purple. And so you can see that there. It was not fun for me to paint all that detail there, but yeah. Now moving on to the skirt piece. Let me tell you guys, when making pieces like this, I just want to pull my hair out. These pieces take me so long to make, and in this case, it was kind of like a robe, so I had to cut like each robe, like it was not easy at all, because you can see that there. But then I had to secure it with glue so none of these will break off or fold easily. And oh my god, dude, it was just ridiculous. And honestly, making pieces like this are just a pain in my ass. Like I absolutely hate it. Making these pieces make me want to lose my shit. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to bleed that out. But yeah. Now I did paint some blue outlines here. Now these were originally gonna be metallic blue, but looking at the reference more, they were kind of a bit more like a normal blue. So pretty much painted these outlines here, and I did paint the wrinkles or kind of like these designs in the lighter purple. So yeah, I'm removing the torso now. Just talking about the legs. Now I really didn't understand the legs for this figure, but except I just had to paint on the boots, which I recently just wrapped up. As you can see, I couldn't find the exact design for the boots, so I kind of just did my own thing. But yeah, you can see that there now he does have a bit more armor pieces around the thighs, but they weren't really worth of me sanding the legs. So yeah, but he does have like, but these designs are printed, which are pretty cool. But yeah, you can see all that paint design onto the boots. I recently wrapped that up, and of course the detail does wrap around on all four sides of the minifigure's legs, as you can see. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the High Evolutionary, and I think the High Evolutionary is like I think a top 5 MCU villain, because just on how much of a villain this guy is, this guy has no sympathy whatsoever, and oh my god, there were times where I was genuinely shocked on what this man was doing in the movie. So, and like James Gunn created an amazing villain for the end of a story, and I loved it. And just seeing him interact with Rocket when he was young, and seeing what he did to him was just like, oh my god, man. And especially with someone that has pets. I have cats, and just seeing what this man was doing to animals wanted me to beat the absolute crap out of him. For what he was doing to these animals. Like, this is a villain you want to beat up, okay? But yeah, just being a cat lover and just seeing what this guy was doing to animals, it was just so shocking to me, man. But yeah, so that's going to be it for the final figure of this entire showcase video. And now it's time to wrap up this video. Also making a quick cameo is Groot. I pretty much got like the cheapest Guardians of the Galaxy. It's at like for $5 or something. And just to get this figure, just to have him like in the showcase, I can kind of have a full Guardians of the Galaxy set. But yeah, just pretty much just like the standard Groot figure, first time getting this head. And I think this is kind of like the exact same design from the Benatar set, I think. I don't know. But yeah, great use of the shoulder pad piece to make Groot a little bit more bulkier. Pretty good printed face just to make Groot look a little bit more adult. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much for Groot. Amazing printed torso and leg design, and amazing printed back design. But yeah, that is Groot. That's pretty much gonna be it for Groot. He is Groot. I am Groot. You are Groot. We are Groot. So, yeah. Now it's time to finally wrap up this video. So, guys, that's going to be it for my Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 showcase video. A very long away showcase video that I've been needing to make, but just never got the time to it. And I really did want to take my time on these figures just because on how much I love these characters and this franchise that James Gunn has just created in the MCU, and just the characters that we fell in love with. I remember watching the very first Guardians movie back in 2014 when I was 7 years old with my dad, and just loving it right after I walked out of the theater, just being insanely excited for the Guardians, for the Guardians' next appearance in Volume 2, then Infinity War. I've just loved these characters ever since I was a kid, and now just watching the end of their story, like almost 10 years later, was just amazing. And I think it was, the best way possible that James Gunn could conclude this story. And to be honest with you, I don't think the Guardians should continue in the MCU. I think they still should be around. But I already seen the movie, but like, I think it's good knowing that we still have a Guardians team inside the MCU. But I kind of just want to like let them just do their own thing, you know, go on a bunch of missions. But just really don't like give them another movie. You know, James Gunn said he'll be interested in that. Us fans don't really want that. I think this is where the story ended, and I think it was the best way possible. But who knows who else can join the Guardians of the Galaxy in that team. But I would like to see Star-Lord. I would like to see Star-Lord in future installments. Would tell him by the ending. I think he might appear in King Dynasty, maybe be a part of the new Avengers, maybe. But who knows? Also, by the way, I just want to take the time to say that Star-Lord will appear in my Avengers the King Dynasty version 2 trailer. He will appear and it will technically be one of the new Avengers, but I will give more updates on that when the time comes. But yeah, guys, I absolutely had a fun time working on these figures. Especially I had a fun time working on Star-Lord and Rocket, just making the Guardians suit was just amazing. Now I did want to make a Gamora and Adam Warlock, but like I said, I didn't want to make Adam Warlock, even though I did try to paint up a face for it. Might finish that at some point. But yeah, whatever. Excuse me. But yeah, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this long way showcase video. I've been rushed in some areas, and I do apologize for that. And most likely my next showcase will be the Flash or Blue Beetle. I do need to get the parts for Blue Beetle. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for the showcase, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed, and this is LEGO News signing out. Have a great day, everyone.
Pete, I'm done running.
Love you.